Rob here with the Life.com, and I'm here today with R.J. Foster, who's with Steps in Tyme Design, who creates one-of-a-kind steampunk gear.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that may not be in the know, what is steampunk, and why do you think it's getting so popular right now?
Well, to put the easiest twist on it, steampunk could be put as Victorian science fiction. We've heard it called retrofuturism. I personally look at it as I have a love for Jules Verne and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I challenge anybody to try to find more of a peak than the Nautilus from 20,000 Leagues as being just the benchmark for what steampunk would be. You have the Victorian look, all the elegance in that of Victorian mixed with heavy industrial looking pieces, but the blend of each other, it creates its own world. Every piece is unique, serves a purpose of some sort, and it can be as fantastical as you want, all the way to just something very simple. Just everybody has a different view of it, and that's what's so great about it, is everybody, with steampunk, anybody can be anything they want. You just create it. And I think that's why it's so popular. You know, you do lots of other ones, and there's so many restraints on the way this costume has to be this way, it has to be this way. With here, it's pretty much you can roll with whatever you want.
That's really cool. So, what got you started into steampunk and cosplay, and kind of led to like your alter egos of?
Well, I've been doing this long enough that cosplay used to be called reenactment. I started when I was about 6 years old. My dad was into the mountain man thing, so he took me out there. So I've done my share of buckskins and Indian beating and making shirts and knife sheaths and all that. So it kind of started there. Then, you know, as everybody sooner or later progresses, I ended up in the middle of the Renaissance Fair stuff. So once again, I started learning learning how to mess with leather, learning how to make more elegant type clothing to go with it. Now how to make sword belts and how to build everything into it. And then from that I drifted into doing the musketeer, and then I've done the pirate thing. And I got out of doing all costume stuff for quite a while. And then we were at MegaCon a few years ago, and my wife and I were like, we had nothing better to do, and yes, I'll be the one. We said, let's go laugh at the geeks for the day. We had nothing else to do. And we get down there, and my wife's like, well, I like that stuff. I go, the steampunk stuff? She goes, yeah. I'm like, there's enough there with the leather work to keep me occupied and enjoy it, and it's something we can actually do together. I'm game, you know, so I kind of got into it, and one thing led to another. But it's been nice that I have a little bag of skills that I've learned over all these other costume things that when I look at it now, I can pull from all of those and create some of the stuff that we do.
It's really cool. Like, you actually have an alter ego of Dirk Astor, and then your wife, Rosanna, has Professor Roxy Diggs.
Yep.
Where did you guys come up with that?
Well, Dirk Astor came to me for the longest time. He was just known as the Adventurer. I never came up with a name. I was like, kind of elusive, the Adventurer. It's kind of a cool ring to it. But then I started realizing I'm a big Clive Cussler novel fan, and I love Dirk Pitt. He's my favorite actor in the stories. And so I was like, hey, I've always liked Dirk. I'll take Dirk as my name. I like it. Has a little bit of adventure sound to it. Well, Astor, somebody was watching Titanic, and they came up with John Jacob Astor was on there. I was like, that's a cool, wait a minute, wrong time period. Titanic would be too. His father looked him up, and I'm like, bingo, illegitimate son, gets paid off to go away, so he's got the money to be able to afford all of this stuff. Now my wife, her name's Rosanna, and her nickname at work, a lot of times they call her Roxy. And she wanted to be, when you steampunk, one thing you'll see is there's a lot of archaeologists. She's like, well, I want to be a scientist, but I don't want to fall into the same thing everybody else is, so she decided to be a geologist. So, you know, we were sitting there, and I go, you're a geologist, and your nickname's Roxy. And I was like, the only way we can make it funnier is why don't you put Diggs, so you're digging rocks, so it's Professor Roxy Diggs, and she's a geologist. And so it kind of just stuck. It was kind of a little tongue-in-cheek joke, but it stuck. And I think for her, one of the neatest things is there's a lady that sent her a note and saying that her daughter just accidentally goes bananas and emulates my wife with Roxy Diggs as her favorite steampunk person out there. And now she doesn't want to be a geologist, she doesn't want to be this, she wants to be a steampunk entomologist. So it's this little girl, so instead of being just this, she's being something intelligent and something aspiring for something bigger. But my wife, it was her. I think it was kind of one of her first ones of having, a child looking up to her like that. So it was kind of special.
That's really neat that you can use this to kind of create like those alter egos,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's like you said, you can kind of take whatever you want, and it'll fit into this world.
Exactly.
So, we're gonna be looking at some of your stuff here in a few moments and everything like that. We want to take the time to actually show everything off, but I wanted to have you tell us a little bit more about Steps in Tyme Design and how people could kind of go about getting their own one-of-a-kind piece.
Steps in Tyme Design. My wife and I, we created the company to, we've had this. People are like, hey, do you sell this stuff? We finally got to the point where it's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and set up a company. We go to occasional shows around. We were at Fanboy Expo. We're probably going to be there in November again. We were debating on whether it was because my wife has had a medical situation, but everything's good now, so we're going to probably be there in November. But we created it. You can get a hold of us through stepsintymedesigns.com. is our website, and you can also look us up under Steps in Tyme Designs on Facebook. Those are the easiest ones. And Facebook, I keep posting updates on what we're doing. Either way, you can get a hold of us, and basically, it's like tell me what your dream costume is, because that's where it's going to be. It's not me. Yes, I just put the pieces together, but you have to inspire what it is that you're wanting, what it is you're into, and we can mold and work stuff around there together and create it.
I've seen some of your work, so I know whatever they come up with, you can do and make your dreams come true. It's really cool stuff. So I guess we're going to take a few minutes and look at some of the different pieces that he has and show you what we're talking about. So we're going to take just a moment and let RJ go over some of his creations with you. We're going to start with, I guess, his most famous creation around here, which is Dirk. And away you go.
Well, this is the Dirk Astor costume. Obviously not on me, but mannequin style, so the head is kind of a little bit shrunk. The head would be more or less up here. But, as you can see, all hand-tooled leather. The way that everything was done here, all the gears that you'll see in here were actually hand-tooled into the leather. It's not actually chunks of metal that are just hammered and riveted on into place. This is an actual working clock mechanism in the front. We came up with the concept that Dirk stuff is run off of steam, thus steampunk. But if you happen to be in an area where you don't have any water, it might be nice to have a mechanical backup. So it actually runs off of a clock mechanism to also keep everything running. The concept of this character was that Dirk had been injured in a cave-in, and his left arm basically hangs limp. But this technology had come out that when I wear this, I actually have the ability to be able to have the function of that arm back, which is kind of a cool. Everything was done, there's probably about 400 hours worth of leather tooling and everything involved into creating this. But what we try to do is everything with Steps in Tyme, what we're known for is making stuff actually work. So you'll see here we have the working EL wires. If you zoom in into here, everybody tends to love the lion. His eyeballs will actually sit there and flash at the same point. But we came up with the idea that we said, well, by having a powered arm, kind of, aka Iron Man, you can make different attachments for it that would actually function. Here would be the Gatling gun that we actually, all made out of brass tubing, pieces from chairs, once again hand-tooled leather, little small motor that you can probably find at a hobby shop somewhere. But once we connect it actually to the arm piece itself into place, we now have a working Gatling gun. But what we noticed was there's some places that we would go, like we would go to the Mickey's Not So Scary party down in Florida at Disney, and what's kind of cool is they actually let the adults dress up. Well, with all the security stuff, even though this is a prop, we're not going to run the problem. So what would happen is I'd just take this one off and I'd leave it at home, so that way they don't have a gun problem. I'd just leave that at home, and I would pull this one out, and I'd put this one, has a telegraph. So there's really nothing that's going to hurt anybody. Once again, since we did all the connections the same, we have a nice interchangeable system to where and I got kind of lucky. I've got a friend of mine, Chris Arendt, down in Florida, and Chris has a technique for etching brass that is a new technique that he's got. And just to add a little bit to it, on the side here, he actually etched into the brass is the whole Morse code. So you actually have a one to go by if you would need it. Now, with Dirk, that's obviously his left side contains all of that. So we said, why don't we figure we can come up with something and we'll round out on the right side. This would basically be enhance his grip and power in the hand. That goes up around my arm up here, but I'll tuck it here for easy. So as you can see, it powers, but it actually has a working steam engine which would actually power to be able to have use of the hand and add the strength into the hand. The finger pieces that are here are actually the inside of a chime on a clock. This would be what actually hits the tubes. So that, but putting them in here and bending them, there was actually a fifth one, but it would be bent so far over here it wouldn't function real well, so we just went with the main four. But as you can see, once again, everything's hand tooled, and it's just a matter of just using your imagination. Don't think of what it is, but what can it be? You know, they say, you know, think outside the box. I would personally rather break the box into little pieces and use those pieces and build something better with it. Now, as you would have this time period, of course, everybody's going to be armed. Dirk's not an exception. This pistol was actually made by Chris Arendt also. He does really, really good guns. But as you can see, he has his gun belt. But the thing about this gun belt is once you draw the gun, all the bullets on the gun, on the belt, will light up. And as soon as you get done, slide it back in, everything shuts itself off. So just kind of a neat little, as you can see, if it just moves off of itself, it'll come back on. But just a neat little twist to stuff to have it light up a little bit for people. And actually, for people that always ask, that actually runs, it has 8 9-volt batteries that it runs off of to power all that. Yes, I know there's a lot of people that are like, switch to the NiCad batteries, switch to this. Yeah, it's a great idea, and I would love to do it down the line, but my problem is if I get to a convention, I have a battery issue, I can go to 7-Eleven, I can go to a grocery store, and I can buy 9-volt batteries. So if something's there, I can just switch my batteries, I'm good. If I'm using a high $60, $70 battery and something goes wrong, none of my effects are going to work. So probably a better deal not to. But Dirk is the one that pretty much started everything for us with Steps in Time. And like I said, when I wear him, he's me. So it's actually a very comfortable costume for me to be in. So we really enjoy that. But that's Dirk Astor. I'm sure you'll see him out and around. Well, as you can also see, my wife, like I said, she got into doing this also, and her side of it, you know, I do all the pounding on leather and break metal and cutting my hands up on sheet metal and everything to create stuff. My wife does the jewelry, which for me, I don't have the patience to do the very delicate stuff. I'd rather hit it with a hammer and keep on going. But my wife has come up with, one of the things that she does is she takes old vintage dominoes. Some of these ones are very, very old. She's actually found the old red ones and like the ivory looking ones. And she'll take assorted different pieces. As you can see it on the mannequin here, none of these are the same. She doesn't make any two alike. So anytime you get one, you actually have a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork, which is what we try to do. You look around, it's like people, especially nowadays with the economy, it's like people don't have the money to throw out there like they used to. And by us trying to keep our prices down and also offering that, you know, when you get something from us, you're not going to come around a corner at a convention and see a carbon copy of yourself, so it buys you that exclusive feel to it. So it's a very nice touch for you that, you know, we care about our customers that much that we try to do that. But as you can see, all these are different. Like she's done ones here, like this particular one, she actually found a piece from a Monopoly, the old wheelbarrow. But behind it, she actually found an old Victorian ad for a wheelbarrow that she put onto it. And she's done the different much with all the girl stuff. She's got the We Can Do It, the old Rosie the Riveter. But she's done a few of them where they're normal, but then she's added little steampunk elements to them to make it look like she's got a robotic hand. but each one, they're all similar, but if you were to look at them, they are not the same. And then my wife's, pretty much her showcase piece that she's gotten known for, is she does her Tesla coil earrings. She finds her bulbs and does all the twisting to them for the earpieces. But that's one of those ones that when we go to a convention, that's pretty much, she sells a lot of the Tesla coil earrings. But she has numerous different styles here. Some of the other projects, this is actually for a friend of mine. This is for her, so anybody going to Dragon Con, feel free to look for it. It's going to be a bracer. We just don't have the straps put on yet. We got to size it to her. But basically, it's just a small two-barrel gun. It's actually a prop. But as you can see, with all the rivets, but the one's hidden thing, like I said, we like, even with as small as this, it's smaller than my hand. You can see that we still have elements to it. To where she'll be able to drop her wrist down and hit the switch and be able to turn the lights on and off. So it's like I said, that's our thing, is we try to make everything actually function in some way or another. Now, you heard Roxy Diggs. This is actually her bracer. We went ahead and went with a gear motif with it, with a vine going through it. That was actually her idea. I never really thought about it, but it did come out really, really nice. And so we were happy with that. We have the abacus built in there because nobody had computers, so this would be the way she would keep track of everything. It has different lenses if she needs to inspect one of her rocks. She has the different lenses all built in. So basically it would be a working out in the field bracer. It has all the tools that she would need to have that's there. Now, in Steampunk there is a personality, and his name is Professor Elemental, and he's from over in England. Well, there was a cartoonist that was out there that did a wonderful caricature of him, and we decided to go ahead and we're making him a bracer. This will be actually given to him the next time I see him. But this is all hand tooled into the leather, and we went ahead and added his teacup because he's British. And on the other side, he does have a song about chasing the golden frog, so we went ahead and added the golden frog to it. This was just done more of kind of a novelty piece, kind of to test myself a little bit at something I hadn't tried, but I wanted to try it. So we went ahead and did that. Now, one of the fun things with Steampunk is, it's a lifestyle, and everybody decides it is tea dueling. Tea dueling is basically persons sitting across from each other. You have a teacup and a cookie. Basically, you both dunk for 5 seconds, and the game is on. And the object is to be the last one to eat your cookie without it falling apart on you, and eat it cleanly. There's other rules that go into it, but that's the general gist of it. Well, we decided, since it's getting popular, why don't we make some teacup holsters? Instead of a gun holster, we're dueling. You can actually attach this to your belt, and you walk in, and you're never unarmed. So if a tea duel breaks out, you've got cup and saucer ready to go. So we make these in numerous styles. You can, people can put whatever they want on them. The only thing that's a trick about these, if you want to get a tea dueling holster from us, you either A, have to ship us your teacup and saucer, because no teacup and no saucer are the same size. They're all different. Or we have an assortment of teacups and saucers that we bought that I actually just make the piece for, and then you actually buy the holster plus the teacup and saucer set. But that's the only way we can do that. I can't really work from measurements that somebody gives me of a teacup. I need to actually have it so I can function it, because we do put a strap around so they do stay in place so they don't fall. But you can see here's two different styles. My wife wanted a little bit smaller one, so the smaller one is actually hers. So you can see there are differences in them. But any little project and stuff like that, if you can think it, we can probably come up with some way to make it. So however you would like to, get in touch with us and let us know. Well, this is the newest piece that's coming out from Steps in Tyme. I try to do one big piece for myself every couple of years, and Dirk's been going great and strong, but I'm not leaving Dirk behind. I never will. He's too much of me. But I have, ever since I was 6 or 7 years old, I have a love of Captain Nemo that at times can go onto the list of obsessive. And this is the beginnings of Captain Nemo's undersea combat armor. We watch the movie, you just see him in a normal dive suit. Granted, there's probably going to be issues that arise where you'd like to have a little bit of armor just to protect yourself. Thus, we created this. The motif of it was done to be able to look like rusted metal, like it would be the hull of the Nautilus, complete with all the rivet lines and pieced in together, so it looks just like the sub. All the way down to, if you look at the back spine, if you get a shot of the Nautilus, you look on the back spine of it, and it has a very distinct pattern. I went ahead and did that pattern and on here, so it actually represents the back spine of the Nautilus. On the sides, of course, for the shoulders, since octopus and squid are very prominent in 20,000 Leagues, we went ahead and did the large octopus on the side, giving that old brass look to it. And as you can see, though, it is full, complete armor all the way around. There's nothing held back on this. It's not light, but the way it's built, it sits on your skeletal structure, so it's not too bad. It could be a lot worse, but it's not. It will have more, kind of like my bracers that I've done, it will have steampunk bracers that are attached to it. This is a work in progress. I've got 3 weeks to get this ready to go. People who are coming to Dragon Con, I'm going to do the Friday night costume contest, and I am going to enter it in Nemo. I was thinking about doing it in Dirk, but I'm going to step out and I'm going to go for it with Nemo. But it is also going to be in the Dragon Con parade Saturday morning. So I will be out there sweating and dying, so if you see me fall, pick me up and keep me moving. The hat that we did, Nemo, if you watch, yes, I know Nemo wears a blue hat if you watch the movie. I'm a scuba diver. I'm a history nut. I enjoy reading about the German U-boats during World War II. I decided to do basically an homage to the German U-boat captains who always wore the white hat. And as you can see now, I don't think it's too bad of a look for Nemo. It's to where it gives you a much better look. So I felt that with the white, it was kind of combining two things I enjoy doing together, and I feel that was the way to go. The hat was actually built for me. I have a friend of mine up in here in Tennessee. We just moved here from Orlando. But Jeremy Brown, he went ahead and he's incredible at building hats, and explained to him what I wanted, and he went ahead and knocked that out for us. So never be afraid, even though we make our stuff here and we do this, there are some things that I don't know how to do, or I know somebody can do it better. And don't be afraid to reach out to your resources. You know, that's what makes this such a good thing, is you can learn from everybody. I may know how to do something, and I'll teach you how to do it, and you may have a different skill set that I don't know how to do, and I would love to learn. And down the end, it's just going to make us both better as we go. But this is the armor. These pieces in the front here are actually the attachments for the dive pack. Because the way we built the dive pack for it, for the oxygen and air tank, is that the armor carries all the weight. So I don't feel it on my shoulders when we're walking down there. Because as you'll see later, it's not the lightest thing because of the way we did it. But the armor carries all the weight. I put it on there and I don't even feel it when it's on. But this is the armor. And we'll continue on. This is actually the air pack, air tank, backpack, whatever you would like to call it, for the undersea combat armor. When I watched the movie, I feel they did an absolutely fantastic job, except for one thing. When they're underwater and they're walking by, I'm looking and I see 2 scuba diving tanks. And I felt they put all this work into the Nautilus, and it has just this incredible look, and they got to that point and they just kind of put a little Victorian cowl to hide the regulator. And I felt that they should have had a more Victorian look. So I went over to my dad's house, and we got together and we came up with the concept of making it look more like a Victorian curio cabinet. You know, where we have all the gilded pieces. Now to show you what you look for, this gilded piece used to be a 1960s hanging lamp. It was like an octagon shaped lamp. Basically we cut it, flattened it all out there, and now it actually gives you a wonderful Victorian look for on the front. This side right here, this piece, actually came off of an old gas student lamp. Basically, this would be the fuel cell for the student lamp. What we said, not what it is, what it can be, we've created this that it is actually a scrubber for your air to keep the quality of your air. So you can actually change the scrubbers out if you wanted to. Now, in here, obviously, you're going to have, you have your air tank. And for my friends who are scuba divers and anybody else, it actually is a circuit, in case people are wondering. The oxygen comes out of the tank, goes through the scrubber, Comes down the line, down, through the bellows pump, up and out, and up here and out and into my helmet. So it actually does have a pattern. If you were to actually look at it, there actually is a logical pattern. Now, once again, we said with Steps in Tyme Designs, we make everything work. This particular one you won't be able to see, but for my helmet, I actually have built a small fan in here, and right up here at the top, it is blowing a large amount of cold air through here, which will get pumped up into the helmet at a later time, just to keep me cooled off. Now, this one, like I said, we have to have things moving. If you want to zoom in, we actually have the working bellows pump. So yes, it does actually function. And then we can keep adding to effects. Add a little bit of the blue light to it. Add a little bit more in there. And then we can really go for it and add, which kind of has the reactor feel to it. But which is kind of nice once the whole thing's closed up and everything. If you get in a darker room, it actually projects all of that light down onto the ground, so it has that moving, watery effect. But as you can see, everything shuts, and you can still see it through the grate, so you don't lose the effect even though it's in there. I'll go ahead and shut that one off so you can actually hear a little bit better. But it's kind of nice. It gives you different options. I can even, if I felt like it, I can even shut all the blues off, and I can just run with that. And that effect is done by, believe it or not, we found a kid's little lit up kaleidoscope at a dollar store. So it's not a matter of what things are, it's a matter of what you do with them. And it ended up giving us a nice little effect on that. I decided to make it to where I didn't have to have somebody help me turn stuff on. So basically, on the back side, right where I have my body touches here, there's little voids back here where nothing would touch. So I basically went ahead and threw all my switches right there, so all I have to do is just go right here and I can turn everything on and off without actually having to have any assistance. And these are those shoulder pieces I was telling you about that will come over there and actually strap in on the armor that we were looking at earlier. That's the other side of that. But a lot of the pieces are just recycled pieces. Here's a little trick for you, for gauges. Take a gauge, break the gauge open to where you can get in. Don't break the glass, break it into it, get into it. And on the back side, you'll find where the spring mechanism is. Cut those springs, get them to where they're not functioning anymore. Then you can move your needle wherever you want it. Take a red Sharpie, color in an area, make it look red, make it look dangerous. And if you want to, take your needle and bury it in the red. It makes your piece that you made, gives it a little bit of danger feel to it, that everything's in the red and it looks like it's getting ready to explode. So it's just a neat little trick to be able to do that. All these little seahorses here. How many people would think that you would actually find steampunk stuff at Bath and Body Works? Those are actually those little scent things that they stick in the wall. They have the little ones. I saw the seahorses. I'm like, I'm buying 2 of those, so I went ahead and used them on here because they had the right motif and the color was perfect. I didn't have to do anything to them at all. So always keep your eyes open because you'll never know what you're going to find. I'm going to pick this one up off the floor that I decided to drop back here. But this, if you read Jules Verne, is what they would call a Ruhmkopf apparatus. Now obviously, my stuff's going to run off batteries. Sorry to say. But they would actually have a crank. You would actually crank the thing up and it builds the power to it. And what it does is it gives you any type of a light that you'd be able to use at any given time in a small, compact, and as long as you have the power to be able to crank the thing up there, you're never going to have batteries die out on you. Built off of a Model T Ford starter coil. Once again, you never know what it can be used for. But that's a Ruhmkopf lamp, and if you read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, they use them. If you read Journey to the Center of the Earth, they use them. He had a very distinct love of this piece, Verne did, of this piece, and he's used it numerous times in his stories. That's it here. Well, being a dive suit means we're going to be underwater, obviously, and wearing this would be 100% wonderful, but being able to breathe would probably be an even better thing. So basically, this is work in progress. These are not completed. Once again, I got 3 weeks and it'll be done. This would be basically the neck collar. All of these holes here, I'm actually going to bolt this onto the armor to where basically now you're getting the neck piece that'll be bolted into place that will have an attachment that actually the dive helmet will attach to. If you've ever seen one of the old Mark V dive helmets, the hard helmet divers, you'll see that they actually have that built onto it. But it actually is a piece that they can undo. The shoulder piece actually attaches to their dive suit. But that's where this is going to sit. But that being said, we've got to have a dive helmet. So we have created, and this is a work in progress, there's still probably about 40 hours more work to do on this to get it ready. But we have created the Nemo dive suit with the helmet. This helmet, the front is actually real metal. It is not craft foam. It is 26 gauge sheet metal. And this was actually done this morning. We went up and we powder coated this color to get the right color this morning. My wife's cousin, her father has a powder coating, and he lets us come up there and do this. So it gives a wonderful look. It gives that rusted metal look to it. But as you can see, with how the whole look goes, I think the effect's pretty good when you combine it with the armor itself. And like I said, things have to work. So we do have, on Nemo especially, he has the very unique helmet. His is the only helmet that does have the light on the top. All the other dive suits that you see from the movie don't have that. But it gives his that distinct look that he has. But what you can see is, as we turn this around a little bit, it will have ear holes in here that, yes, they would be closed, but I'm going to be in Atlanta on Labor Day weekend, so I'm probably going to leave those open so I can get some air. Plus I can hear people a little better. This piece right here on the actual dive suit would be actually, when you exhale, this would be where all of your air comes out. What this one actually is it's off of an old blowtorch, one of the little handheld ones, and that's be what you would build the pressure up with. But I liked how it looked, so I went ahead and added that to be my vent. On the back, inside here, I'm going to put a little PVC T inside there. This is where my air tank will attach to my backpack via a hose, and that's what's going to pump that cold air, and then it'll split and come through these hoses and right behind my ear just to give me a little bit more. Plus on the very top under here, I'm actually going to be putting a 3-inch fan that I can either make it where it pulls hot air out, or I can flip it around and have it just blow more air on me if I need it. But like I said, I'm trying to stick as close as I could. The whole thing started with a 14-inch acrylic ball. And as you can see, there's plenty of room in there. You don't feel claustrophobic at all. It's a little warm right now, but that's because I don't have the air systems running. But once we get it running, I think we're going to have the entire package here. But like I said, we got 3 weeks. She'll be done. Friday night costumes contest, Dragon Con, it's on.
I want to thank RJ from Steps and Tyme Design for letting us come in and talk to him today and spend some time with us and show us all his awesome stuff. He's going to be at Dragon Con this year in the costume contest. We're going to be there cheering him on, and we hope you will be too. This is Rob from the Life.com saying, see you under, or just see you later.